Hello, welcome back to the Technical Talk series, part 5, buying residential property. I'm sitting here at Carlucci's in Lower Templestowe. Great place to come if you want Italian food, Italian lavazza, coffee, if that's what you like. Today I'm going to talk about capital gains tax discount, CGT discount. Okay, for those of you that have followed the series, you'll remember that in part 1 we spoke very briefly about the different types of residential property. In part 2 we spoke about the Residential Tenancies Act that governs residential property here in Victoria. In part 3 we discussed the difference between capital growth and yield and how the two are not really correlated. And we also discussed why buying residential property is important. In part 4, we expanded on that and talked a little bit about the what causes capital growth in the main, other than of course credit in the marketplace or the growth of credit. We spoke a little bit about what causes capital gain, being predominantly government investment. Government investment drives private investment, and we talked about that being a major thing that I look at specifically for property investors. Now, before we talk about more things related to capital growth that are really, really important in the marketplace, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about capital gains tax and the capital gains tax discount that was introduced in the late 90s by the Howard government. It was introduced for very, very good reasons, but what's happened since that time is there's been an explosion in capital gain across the board at the expense of normal working Australians, meaning that it's a lot more profitable to be buying and selling than to earn income, and specifically because of the tax rate. I want to talk a little bit about why it started, why they introduced it, and how that's impacted capital gains in the marketplace and what that means for the future, because there's been some recent media attention around the government possibly looking at reducing the capital gains tax discount. And of course, the capital gains tax discount applies equally with shares and businesses, and specifically for individuals and trusts, not companies, individuals and trusts, and it applies equally over the different asset classes being shares, businesses and real estate. Okay, so in the late 90s, the Howard government introduced, together with a raft of other different tax initiatives like the GST, a reduction in income tax, they introduced capital gains tax-free provisioning, which allowed people, businesses, entrepreneurs to buy shares, businesses, real estate, and to only pay tax on 50% of the profit. This was introduced to get rid of an outdated system of indexation where people needed to index the original purchase price by CPI, whatever the indexation was. It was a convoluted system that was difficult to understand, and in order to simplify that, they introduced a system where people could buy asset, sell the asset, make a profit, and only pay tax on 50% of that profit. Now, that was only for individuals and trusts, and it was based on the marginal tax rate of the individual, but not for companies. There was a tax for super funds. There was another provision for super funds, but in the main, there was a huge benefit for people investing in property and shares and businesses, especially businesses, because a lot of the profit could be tax-free altogether if that money was invested into another business. But in the main, the capital gain, the CGT-free component of it meant that individuals or trusts could buy assets like real estate. They could sell that real estate and only be taxed on 50% of those profits. Now, why is that important? Because what it was there to do was to incentivize entrepreneurs and people to invest in the country, and obviously the idea being that would create a dynamic economy that would then employ people, etc. So the benefits were going to outweigh any sort of any negatives. Now, the issue, what's happened since 1999 or 2000, has been an explosion in capital gains here in Australia. Okay, and I believe that that had a lot to do with it, because what it meant was that people could benefit more by making profit from capital than from earning income. And let me explain how that works. in Australia, the top marginal tax rate is 47%. Okay, so in simplistic terms, once you reach a certain level, you get taxed at nearly half your income above that. So the incentive for you to work longer hours or get a better paying job, etc., is that you're going to be taxed half the income. Now, alternately, if you own your principal place of residence and you sell it, you pay no capital gains tax. That's CGT free. Or if you buy an investment, if you buy a real estate asset, or if you buy shares or a business, potentially, then you're only taxed at 50% of that profit. So in theory, if you buy a property for $500,000, sell it for $1 million, and once you include all your selling costs and your buying costs, etc., in the interim, let's assume you've made $500,000 profit. That $500,000 profit is discounted by 50%, $250, and you're only paying tax on the $250. So in theory, and that gets added onto your marginal tax rate. So let's assume that you're on the top marginal tax rate. Let's assume you've made $500,000 profit on the on a property asset that you bought and sold. The tax will be calculated based on whatever your salary is plus 50% of the profit. Let's call that $250,000 or 50% of $500,000. So and you pay 47 cents in the dollar on the $250. So the most you can pay through capital profit is less than 25%. It's probably closer to 24%. So you look at that, the discrepancy on capital profits of buying and selling real estate assets or shares or businesses. The top amount of tax that you're going to pay is around 24%. Whereas if you're an income earner, a salary earner, the top tax rate is 47%. So it's almost double the amount of tax. So when you're faced with a situation where you've got the choice between earning more money in a job or buying and selling assets at half the tax rate, you can see there that there's a huge incentive for people to buy and sell real estate assets or shares or businesses, especially businesses, because if that profit is reinvested into a new business, there's no tax at all. So, and this started in 1999, and in my opinion, it had a massive impact on capital gains in Australia. So if you go back to my previous videos around capital growth, let's just sort of see how this unfolds. So you can see now in an environment where you've got increasing credit growth, where the banks are lending money, you've also got this situation with negative gearing where there's a tax benefit in being able to sit on an asset with negative cash flow where you can get tax back. And you're also we're also living in a state where the government is continually letting in immigration, where we're getting population growth. And what's happening is, of course, at the same time as population growth, at the same time as credit growth, at the same time as the benefits of negative gearing, you've got this CGT discount implemented in an environment where it creates speculation, where people would rather invest in capital assets and renovate homes and speculate on capital like real estate and shares and businesses, because the tax rate is half the rate. So therefore, what that has done, it's created an environment for speculative activity, and what that has also done is driven up prices, and that's also contributed to capital growth. So as well as credit growth, as well as government spending, which is what we spoke about, as well as population growth, we've got this situation where the CGT discount has also created, through the speculative activity of entrepreneurs investing and speculating on assets, it's created a situation where that's caused a lot of the capital growth that you've seen since 1999. So that's actually a massive reason or massive cause for this. Now, the reverse is also true. If the government is looking to disincentivize people by reducing that, I think that would have a negative impact on property prices in the marketplace. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about CGT free, the discount, because it's a real critical part of what causes capital growth here in Australia, and specifically here in Melbourne, which is what I'm mainly concerned with. Now, it's important to note that this initiative that the Howard government introduced in 1999 in order to create a dynamic economy was also to, if you like, put Australia on the map so that it competes with other countries around the world with similar initiatives. So I don't think it's going to disappear. I think it's probably here to stay. The government will obviously tamper with it in order to gain vote, but it's a very, very critical part of our tax system, but it's really important for you to understand that the CGT-free concept is a significant concept that has contributed to capital gains here in the country, and especially here in Melbourne, which is what I'm mainly considering. In my next video, I want to continue this discussion around capital gains and what are the drivers of capital gains. We've spoken about credit growth, which is the primary driver. We've talked about government investment, which is what I look at first. We've talked about the CGT discount, which is the macro factor. But what I want to do is I want to come back to this and I want to talk about specifically what are some of the other things that I look at when I invest in real estate for growth. Thank you. And if you have any questions or queries or any requests, please send them through. Thanks for watching again.